pressing in there. You can see, I can almost see his gears turning as he comes up to the line of scrimmage. He's so concerned about getting footsteps right, where am I going to hand off, and he's not just letting his talent take over and playing football, and that's tough. When you have to think about the assignments, it's awful tough to play at your peak.
14-7, McKendree leads. Bearcats take over after the fumble on their own 34-yard line. Wing T behind Billy Gray. The give to Brendan Murphy. Murphy smothered after a gain of 2, maybe 3 yards. Marty McNamara making the tackle along with Dan Schmidt.
There we saw McKendree go up top with the pass in the first series. Now they really haven't tried to go back to the passing game. They've stuck with their running game.
Murphy, the speed back, shows some power inside, but Brad Schuster actually was the first guy to get a lick on him as Schuster took his legs out from underneath him.
Now, when you're inside like that, you can go a little bit more at him because you've got some more bodies around. You can be a little more forceful with your tackle.
Generous spot, so it's 2nd down and 5. Gray to throw, has some time, fires over the middle, caught by the tight end, spinning down at the 50-yard line. Clyde Brown makes the catch and takes it just past midfield into Dayton territory. Well, Billy Gray not throwing the ball a lot, but he's a perfect 2 for 2 this afternoon, and each time it's been a big play. This one good enough for a 1st down.
His first toss was a kind of a finesse one, and we see here watching the replay in the booth. They put some little zip on this ball right across the middle to his tight end. A nice throw and a nice gainer for McKendree.
You know, he's had plenty of time to throw on the 2 occasions because Dayton obviously not really thinking pass and not able to just, you know, put down that lay your ears back, go after you type of rush up front. 1st and 10, McKendree just past midfield. Handoff, 2nd man. That's Murphy across the 45. Gain of 5 on the play, 2nd down and 5. I'll tell you what, if they're going to get 5 yards on a play, it's going to be a long night for Dayton.
Yep, and we won't see him pass the ball because there's no reason to. When you can keep the clock running and get 5 yards a pop, that's the ideal offense.
Well, McKendree's been in Dayton territory twice tonight. They've got 2 touchdowns to show for it. Wing T behind quarterback Billy Gray. Jackson, the man in motion, takes the wide handoff, and he is driven backwards.
Great play by the
Crimmins got a hold. Check that. Chuck Colstall. You're right, Chad. Chuck Colstall flew to the ball that time and started moving Jason Jackson backwards.
I was just thinking that it was time for one of your big-time players to make a big-time play, and, you know, as soon as I think that, Chuck Colstall, maybe we got a little wavelength thing going because, boy, nice sliding down the line there and a great picture-perfect tackle.
A reminder, you can talk Flyer football Sunday mornings with Chad Duff, the man seated to my left. He'll be the host of the Mike Kelly call-in show Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock on News Talk 1290 WHIO. Also, Chad hosting the Mike Kelly TV show on Channel 7. Pitch back comes to Murphy on 3rd and 5. Murphy fighting his way, but is going to be pulled down short of the 1st down by Brad Van Fleet. It's going to be 4th and short. I'd not be surprised to see them go for it here, Chad.
I think you're right, Larry. Their offense really is just geared to this, and we talked about it in the press conference earlier this week. They said they get down to these 4th down situations, they are not scared to pull the trigger.
Yeah, they just bring some fresh backs in. Kyle Roach, Mike Vila, they come in there. Along with Jared Carnes. So they've got some beef in the backfield on a 4th and 2. 4th and 2, Chuck Colstall up at the line of scrimmage, urging the defense on. 4th and 2, handoff inside. Carnes, did he get it? Did he get it? This is going to be close. It's going to be real close, and I think he got a pretty good spot.
Yeah,
he got a great spot.
Yeah, he got a real generous spot. From where I was sitting, I didn't think that he had gotten it, but the side judge came in and
they're going to bring the chains on, but
boy, it's going to be close there.
It's going to be real close. Again, welcome to all who are either sitting in your homes watching a game on Time Warner Sports, are poised at your computer listening to a game on the web at activedayton.com, or sitting by your radio on News Talk 1290 WHIO, the home of the Flyers. It is a 1st down. by about half the length of the football. And the McKendree drive will continue.
If you're the Flyers defense, you just got to put it out of your mind now. You just got to say, okay, you got the first down, that's fine. We're going to buckle down now and play you for another 3 plays, 4 plays, and see if we can't stop you out here. Boy, Chuck is fired up right now.
You've got 4 captains on this Dayton football team, and they are 4 very different personalities. The fieriest of the 4 by far, though, is Chuck Colstall. 1st and 10, McKendree at the Dayton 39. Gray back to throw, he's got time, now pressured, he goes down. Joe McCall got some pressure from the outside, and Matt Sermon finally gets his ankles, pulls him down for a loss of 2 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 12.
And Schmidt was in there too, Larry. I tell you what, we're getting good pursuit from the backside right now from the Dayton defense. That's what's important. It's not always the front side of the play that makes things happen. You got to pursue from the backside. That's what happened there. That was a coverage sack.
2nd down and 12 now for McKendree at the 41-yard line. Dayton's 41, and the Bearcats leading 14-7. Wide handoff comes to the second man through. It's Daniel Simic. And Simic with a nice pickup of 7 on the play brings up a 3rd down and 5. Watching the misdirection here as Simic, the man in motion, just takes the wide handoff from Gray. Got a little hold there by Kyle Roach, who was out in front of him. Roach just went out and just stuck his arm out and tackled Dustin Sullivan.
Yeah, and Simic just put his head down and went right behind the old hold there.
3rd down and 6. Another big play for the Dayton defense. Gray rolling out, looks downfield, looks, throws. It's incomplete. He short hops his intended receiver, Gross. And that time again, good backside pursuit by Dayton, and obviously some pretty good coverage downfield because Gray couldn't find anyone.
Schuster had great coverage downfield there, and you saw 3 or 4 Flyers go over and pat him on the helmet and say, hey, nice job. And we're getting a chance to see the Time Warner replay right now in the booth. And you can see there's the good pursuit from the backside, and Gray doesn't have anybody because they're just covered like a blanket downfield. Great coverage there, and the ball is thrown low and away, and just a nice defense by Dayton.
Now, this time, McKendree will punt the football. Schuster standing back at his 10 as Albertini will stand at midfield. He's got the wind in his back, rather the wind in his face, pardon me, about a 10-mile-an-hour gust. He wobbles it up there, and it goes out of bounds at about the official walking upfield, and he stops at the 14-yard line. The penalty marker down, and Jimmy Lee is down. Jimmy Lee is the man who comes from the weak side to try to get in on that punter, and he is down. And Steve Foster came out on the field immediately with a tremendous degree of urgency.
They're working with him right now, Larry. We're getting a chance to look at it in the booth here. And I can't tell if Steve, if he's maybe cramping or if it's a knee. Hopefully it's nothing serious.
Well, also down, the man who was back there to block Jimmy, Alan Walter, and hopefully maybe they just banged kneecaps, something like that, just clipped each other and are kind of stung, but other than that are going to be okay.
Jimmy is up and walking off on his own power, a little ginger, but yeah, hopefully it's nothing too serious.
Oh, there's a flag down, and I think perhaps Jimmy ran into the kicker, Albertini, and that's what he's mad about. Oh, he's fine. He's up and running and moving, but I think he's upset that he didn't block the kick and ended up running into the kicker. Even if it's just the 5-yarder, that would be enough for a McKendree first down. The Dayton defense is already out there on the field, and Travis Doberman is in the ball game at cornerback now.
Larry, I tell you what, I don't know. It almost looked like Jimmy had been pushed into the punter there, and that shouldn't be a penalty if that was the case. But
oh, it's going to be a penalty against McKendree. So pardon me. The penalty is against McKendree. It's a block below the waist on the aforementioned Jimmy Lee. So Jimmy got clipped around the knees. He's fine, though. We're watching him run up and down the track. Looks like he's going to be okay. The McKendree people still out there attending to Alan Walter. We will use this opportunity to invite everyone who is listening and watching to Join Dan Edwards from Miami Valley's Morning News on News Talk 1290 WHIO, weekday mornings 5 to 9. We'll keep you updated on Dayton Flyer football, other sports scores, also all the news happenings in the Miami Valley, traffic to get you to work, and the best weather forecast to start your day. Walter off the field, and he also appears to be absolutely fine. But one person who is still unable to be back on the field and may not be on the field for some time is Pat McLaughlin, the Dayton senior quarterback, starting in his first game with a compound dislocation of the ring finger on his left hand. So Albertini will punt again this time, again to Schuster in single safety. Dayton gets a pretty good rush. Albertini a low kick this time. Again, he angles it out of bounds, and believe it or not, it goes out at the 12, and despite the penalty and everything, Dayton's going to actually end up with worse field position than they did originally. They will start on their 12-yard line. It would have been the 14 if the original play had stood.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, the unlucky bounce there. That's what you get sometimes when you take a penalty like that. But it was a good decision for the Flyers, I think, to take the penalty. You never know, with the wind blowing in his face, you might get a chance to block it or whatnot. So the Flyers starting deep in their own territory.
Yeah, the crystal ball unavailable to look into the near future to see how that play was going to turn out. So Dayton will begin with their poorest field position of the day. They start at their own 12. They trail 14-7, 5:49 to play in the first half. Kevin Wilson in at tailback, and handoff goes inside. David George busts up the middle. He's got the first down and some yards to spare all the way out to the 29-yard line.
You know what? Believe it or not, Larry, I think that Nick might have turned the wrong way on that play. It looked like there was a little bit of confusion, but boy, David took the handoff quick and was off like a flash. And we're getting a chance to look at the replay in the booth right now, and no, it was just a quick hitter.
I tell you what, that was just great ball handling that time by Nick Westfall as he stuck it in the gut quick of David George and carried out his fake as if he was going to be tossing the ball back to Kevin Wilson, who is now in at tailback with Jimmy Lee still running gingerly on the sidelines. Wilson gets the call on first down, and Kevin Wilson, the senior from Lakota High School in Westchester, carries that to the 33-yard line to pick up a 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
It's good to see Kevin get in there and just put his head down on that first run. Don't try and be fancy and make, you know, a 100-yard run on your first play. Just put the head down and go.
Watching our Time Warner replay, you will get to carry the football at the University of Dayton if you move the ball north and south. If you are a north and south runner, you will get a chance to carry the football.
That is very true.
If you're a dancer, maybe not. Backs in the eye, 2nd down and 6. Option play, Westfall keeps. Westfall's got some running room at the 45, 50, into McKendree territory and down at the 34-yard line of the Bearcats.
That's a great decision by Nick Westfall. He had good pitch relationship with the tailback. The pitch wasn't there. He put his head down, went right down the field. A great run by Nick.
And you can start to see some confidence build. This is a kid, he has not gotten a lot of snaps. I mean, if you go back, he did not see the field at all last year. May have got in for a little bit of, for lack of a better term, garbage time as a freshman. But here he is, a junior, and gaining some poise and gaining a big first down right here as he showed a little bit of speed in the open field. 1st and 10 at the 34. Westfall hands it off inside to George, and George gets just a couple. Mike Garavaglia, the outstanding middle linebacker, makes the play for the McKendree Bearcats. A gain of virtually nothing. Call it 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, going back to Nick, he's a great athlete. You know, we watched him in the scrimmage, and he had that long run in the scrimmage for a touchdown. So if he runs that option well, and if he gets out there, he really can hurt you on the outside.
He's got pretty good huddle presence too. I mean, he's got some leadership capabilities out there. Jimmy Lee back in a tailback. He's the deep back. George, the fullback in the eye. McKendree shows blitz, and here they come. Westfall on the screen, finds Lee. Lee can't quite slip a tackle. A great play, really, by Clay Willis in the open field to just get an ankle of Jimmy Lee. Dayton has a nice gain, but it could have gone for a lot more had not the McKendree player just made a good individual play.
Yeah, it was a nice play, because if Jimmy's past him, as we're going to get a chance to watch the replay in the booth right now, if Jimmy's past him, this was a touchdown. Everyone sucked up in. Nick, nice throw right here. That's nice pocket presence. 4 defenders in your face, and yeah, just a great play to keep Jimmy from a big gainer.
So it's 3rd and 5 now. Ball at the 28-yard line. Option, Westfall keeps spin down. Spun down, the hit by Willis, who made the play against Jimmy Lee. This time he comes up and is able to trip up Nick Westfall, and the wind is in favor of Dayton as they might consider a long field goal attempt by Mike Pulsford. The ball is spotted right now at the 28-yard line, and the field goal unit's going to come on the field. This would be a 45-yard attempt for Mike Pulsford.
Preseason All-American, Larry. It's time to make some hay.
5 and 9 on field goals last year, none bigger than the one he made in the closing seconds of the home finale against Towson State. Actually a 46-yarder. McCall snaps, Giuseppe holds. Good snap, good hold, kick, long enough, high enough, far enough, and it is good. 2:14 to play in the first half, and the score is now McKendree 14, Dayton 10. This is Dayton Flyer football.
Welcome in exchange.
Longest of his career, and he made it with room to spare.
Boy, it was pretty. It was a great kick.
Now kicking off with the wind behind him, and I tell you what, this one drives Jackson back into the end zone over his shoulder and out of bounds. Mike Pulsford pretty jacked up about that, and there will be no return to that kick. The McKendree offense comes out on their own 20-yard line, and the Dayton defense goes to work, now trailing 14-10.
I tell you what, Larry, as an ex-player, sometimes the kickers are just they can be kind of over on themselves and kind of a little different breed. But these guys this year, they are both competitors. McKelvey, he, is fiery, and Pulsford is fiery. It's just great to see football players at that position.
1st and 10 for McKendree, leading 14-10. They did their scoring early. And a handoff inside to Jared Carnes. He gets a couple.
I'm sorry, Larry. It's like clockwork running on first down every time.
It appears there is no 2-minute drill in the arsenal of the McKendree Bearcats. Remember, Dayton won the opening toss, deferred until the second half, so Dayton will be getting the football first to start the second half. And really, the Flyers have controlled, if not dominated, this game after giving up those 2 early touchdowns to the Bearcats. But this game far from over. And this is still a dangerous McKendree team with the ball right now. 2nd down and 8. Again, handoff inside and a short pickup to the 26-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 4, and a timeout called, and I believe it's going to be called by Dayton. Check that. Yes, it is called by Dayton. We'll keep it right here. 1:22 to play in the first half. Flyers trailing by 4 now, 14-10. The most recent scoring, a 46-yard field goal by Mike Pulsford. You know, it's a very pleasant evening for football right now. That wind we talked about, 5 to 10 miles an hour, and it appears to be dying down. The temperature when we first got here, temperature a couple hours ago was at 90 degrees, but it's a very comfortable evening now. It's probably pretty hot for the football players. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, the turf temperature was 148 degrees. They've got fans going on the sidelines, but right now I don't see any of the players really seeking relief from the fans that are blowing. It appears to be that both teams appear comfortable at this time, but this is the first half. We'll see what these two teams look like in the second half after going roughly 60 minutes of football. This game has every indications of being a 4-quarter contest, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sir. I tell you what, that turf could be. People at home scratching their head and thinking, how can it get to be that hot down here? I can attest to the fact it does get that hot down there. That can be just brutal.
3rd down and 5 at the 25. Dayton obviously calling the timeout because they'd like to get a stop here. McKendree comes out, shows 3 men wide to the left and a man in motion, and that's going to be a procedure penalty against the Bearcats.
Larry, they might have had 12 guys on the field because that guy ran.
He wasn't in motion. He was trying to get off the field.
Yeah,
okay, illegal participation is the call. You're right, Chad. Well, when you run a lot of people in and out, that's the danger.
Yeah, and you go with the formation there that you're not running through the course of your regular offense. You throw that wrinkle in there, and sometimes that can bite you.
So with 1:22 to go, McKendree looks at a 3rd down and 10. And Kyle Roach, who tried to run off before, comes back on the field. Obviously, maybe he was supposed to have been out there all along. Yeah, they come with just the basic wing T look. And they hand it off inside to Carnes. Carnes to the 26. We expect Dayton to call a quick timeout, and they do. Flyers will have 1 timeout left as they will get the football back with 1:17 to go. McKendree obviously will be looking to punt the football away.
I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of a rush here from the Flyers. We're getting a chance right now to see the replay in the booth, and a nice job by UD right up front, just at the point of attack. Matt Sermon once again there. Chuck Coast all in on the tackle. Just good solid up front 7 defense by the Flyers.
You know, this McKendree team graduated their leading ball carrier from last year, but they returned 1, 2, 3, 4 players who had more than 50 carries last year. So they've got plenty of people back there to throw at Dayton, and so far they've been doing as predicted, pounding the ball inside. And when you think they're not going to throw it, like on the 2nd play from scrimmage in the game, they in fact do, and they burnt Dayton on that one, the 52-yard bomb from Gray to Gross, and right now you could say that might be the difference in the ball game. Brad Schuster back in single safety, awaiting Albertini's punt. He'll stand just about his 12-yard line. We'll see if Dayton comes after him. They come a big push up front. He gets it away. Kicking it away from Schuster. The ball bounces free in Dayton territory, angling for the sidelines and out of bounds at the Flyers' 34-yard line. Chuck Colstall came hard on the rush that time and got absolutely flipped up in the air, but comes off okay. And Dayton's offense is on the field with 1:06 to play in this first half. And Chad, how conservative will we see Dayton be? They trail by 4. They know they're going to get the football to start the second half. They've got not great field position, their own 33.
I look for them to stay fairly basic right here. Try and get a run on the outside and then maybe pop a pass.
1st and 10, 33. Westfall fumbles the snap from center. Well, the worst possible thing that could happen did. But apparently, Dayton able to cover it up, and I think John Zimmerman, the left guard, able to jump on that football. And the Flyers retain possession, but it'll be a 2nd down and 12, and again, Dayton calls its final timeout. We'll watch our Time Warner replay as Westfall didn't come out clean. Ball is loose, and I believe it was Jonathan Zimmerman who, at the left guard, was able to reach in the pile and smother that ball and keep it for the Dayton Flyers. Otherwise,
yeah. Larry, it looked to me like there was some miscommunication there on the snap count, because it didn't appear that Nick came out of the center early. I didn't look like he was even ready for the football yet, and the offensive line was kind of all going, so it looked like some communication on just exactly when the snap count was there.
Well, you know, Nick Westfall has been taking reps at quarterback during the past week and throughout the 2-a-days, 3-a-days of camp, but he has not taken as many snaps as Pat McLaughlin. There's no doubt in my mind that Pat is the #1 quarterback, and a new #1 quarterback to boot would probably, you know, if he's a returning starter, maybe you give Westfall a few more snaps and a few more reps in camp. But Pat, new starter, he was probably taking the lion's share of the reps. Westfall now back to throw. Scrambles in the pocket, pressured, and down. He is dropped back at the 23-yard line, and Dayton will not be attempting to stop the clock now, and we may see the Flyers just content to take possession of the ball to start the second half and go into the locker room trailing by 4.
Larry, that was really a coverage sack right there. The protection was pretty good. You'd like to have 4 seconds of protection from your offensive line. That's kind of the benchmark for what you would say would be a successful time for the quarterback to throw the ball. And Nick pretty much had that, but just didn't really have anybody open downfield. And that's when the protection broke down late.
3rd and 20. 16 seconds to play in the half. Ball at the 23-yard line. Westfall hands it off. Kevin Wilson fights his way out to the 30-yard line. A flag is thrown with 5 seconds to go. A flag is thrown. You tag a 15-yard late hit or something like that, face mask on the end of this play, and it might make things interesting,
Yeah,
Chad.
I think if we do see what the call is here.
Personal foul, McKendree.
Yeah, you might see him try and go up top here.
We'll look at our Time Warner replay to see if we can surmise what the foul was. Kevin Wilson doing good north-south running, hit by Garavaglia, goes down, and something happened that we didn't see. But one of the guys in the striped shirts and a yellow hanky saw it.
Yeah, and the flag was immediate. I mean, there was no delay there. I mean, right as the play was ending, the hanky was going in the air. So
well, that's a first down at the 45-yard line. 5 seconds to go, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, and Dayton will not take a snap. That's the first half of play here at Welcome Stadium. The score is McKendree College 14, Dayton 10. This is Flyer football.
Valley.
Remember this.
Flyers took on Robert Morris. You come to the University of Dayton from Robert Morris College in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Well, actually, it was the year before last, so I have faced Dayton twice and have been unsuccessful against them twice. We played some good games, but unfortunately weren't able to be on the winning side. Now that I'm on Dayton, I've been on the winning side last year, so looking forward to the game next week.
And the University of Dayton Flyers coming out, as you mentioned before we came here for halftime, a little bit flat at the outset of this game, and it might have cost them there in the first couple of minutes of the ball game.
Yeah, well, having seen Dayton play, what they do is generally they're coming out, they're very strong, very fundamentally sound, and what happened is, you hear McKendree, the second play of the game, you hear McKendree's going to pound it at you and pound it at you. So you get a play-action bootleg, the kids are probably crowding the line of scrimmage, you lose sight of the wide receiver who's actually lined up as a tight end in McKendree's offensive formation. He gets behind the secondary, catches a pass, and it's a touchdown.
Brett Gross, a 51-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Billy Gray. We've got it here for you on replay. Here it is. Talk about it, Dave.
Well, what they did is they play action. Dayton is probably crowding the line of scrimmage, thinking they're going to run and run. It's a bootleg pass, so he fakes one way, drags the other direction. He hits the tight end, who kind of ran a bell route, if you will, inside, then out towards the sideline, wide open, touchdown.
Only 57 seconds into the ball game, the Flyers, and I'm sure that Mike Kelly didn't envision that start at all for his team.
No, and it was a good call by the McKendree coaching staff, without a doubt. Knowing Dayton's probably going to crowd the line of scrimmage, trying to stop the run, a smart tactical move.
And right after that, the University of Dayton Flyers committed a cardinal sin. They take the second kickoff of the game. They can't do anything with it because they fumbled the football.
That's right, that's right. Well, the key to football is offense, defense, and special teams. And special teams will decide inevitably 3 or 4 games a year. And you've got to be prepared to be hit. If you run timidly, you're going to get cracked returning the football. So you got to run strong and cover the football up, and it was a great hit.
And folks, let's see if you would fumble the football if you were hit this way on this return of the kick.
Well, they squib kicked it, which was kind of an unusual move, knowing that the wind's behind them there. But, he's running full speed here. You got to be ready to get hit. The ball's kind of loose, and wham, he gets hit, pops out. And McKendree's going to come up with this one, setting up what eventually became their second touchdown.
And I was standing at about the 30-yard line watching that play, and I cringed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard it on the other end of the field. So.
and that set up the McKendree Bearcats to run in a pretty short drive. And as you said, they came out with another touchdown and were up 14-0, less than 5 minutes into the ball game.
Yeah, well, what happens is when you have a lot of momentum, you're excited, it's your first game, you give up a big touchdown, and then you have a fumble, a key turnover, so you're on your heels a little bit, and McKendree just ran some plays, just pounded it in, and eventually scored their second touchdown of the game.
And Brandon Murphy was the recipient of the touchdown. He ran it in from 4 yards out, and we were talking a little bit about Brandon Murphy. He was touted as a highly fast running back, but you may be a little suspect of that figure.
Well, I think he's a fast runner, but I don't know about a 4.32. There's a few guys that can do that in the pros, yet alone, at the college level, but he is very good. He's a shifty running back. He changes direction well, and he's going to pick up yards during the year.
And he made a nice move to spring his way into the end zone here. You're going to see it on the replay as he stepped right over the Dayton tackler.
Yeah, just basically a power play here, if you will. They pull a lineman, a good cut block, lead block on the fullback there. They have to play off the cut block, and then it's just forward momentum for a nice run into the end zone.
The University of Dayton Flyers then took the football and finally got a drive underway of their own. And I thought it was a very good answer for the Flyers because they took it right down the gut, running plays right up the middle, got good yardage, and they were able to get into the end zone on a nice pass to David George, the fullback.
Yeah, absolutely. What you don't want to happen is you're down 14-0. You got to sustain and get some of that momentum back. And they, Dayton has traditionally been a strong team. You can't put them away. They battled back, and what McKendree tried to do was blitz Dayton, which is not easy to do because they run the option. And when you blitz, you got to be fundamentally sound, and they made a fundamental error.
It was a nice pass from Nick Westfall, the quarterback, a junior, to David George, who hails from Centerville. And here it is, Dave.
You'll see here McKendree is coming with a pure man blitz, and no one has accounted for the fullback. He just slipped right between a gap. When you blitz, you've got to have gap responsibility covered. What McKendree did is they had nobody in the right side A gap, if you will, the center guard gap. George slips through. He's wide open. And speaking of Nick Westfall, you tried to recruit him at Robert Morris. He's out of Cincinnati, but he had to step right into that drive cold because Patrick McLaughlin, the starting quarterback, big about the options. Yeah, don't be surprised if you see Dayton continue to run the option. McKendree.
Carries the quarterbacks, Billy Gray of McKendree, 2 of 3 for 63 yards and a touchdown. Nick Westfall of Dayton, 6 of 9, 54 yards and a touchdown. And again, Pat McLaughlin back on the sideline, still in uniform, but with a heavy bandage and splint on his left hand, indicating that compound dislocation of his left ring finger, and he's out for the night and perhaps beyond that. Back to receive the kick for Dayton. Deep are David George and Josh Clark, but no, the deep men have been able to field a kick so far tonight, as Terrence Clark, the kicker, has just been pooching it down the middle. Brad Schuster has fielded both kicks from McKendree, one of which he fumbled. That led to the second Bearcat score. Again, 14-10, McKendree leads. Dayton with a little momentum, though, late in that second quarter, and perhaps keeping it with them here as the second half is underway here on the home of the Flyers. News Talk 1290 WHIO. Also, Time Warner Sports. Again, no squib kick. Is that going to go out of bounds? Is it going to go in the end zone? Yes, it is, and David George will have to down it there, and that's the unusual way to get a touchback, but nevertheless, David George being cautious but wise. Dayton will take over on their own 20-yard line.
Yeah, Larry, that's that turf bounce that you get on an AstroTurf. The ball just kind of hits and skips, and it really is alive out there. That squib kick can be effective on the turf.
Nick Westfall, junior out of Cincinnati Sycamore. Perhaps did not think he'd be seeing this field tonight, but he is the man right now for the Dayton Flyers as Kevin Wilson comes out as the deep back in the eye along with David George. We saw Jimmy Lee get dinged up on a punt coverage in the first half. Handoff goes to Wilson. Wilson, big hole up the middle. He's close to a first down out near the 30-yard line. Touchdown saving tackle made by Nick Bruce of the McKendree Bearcats. They'll spot it a yard shy of the first down, call it second and less than a yard, and for the first time tonight, we see the full house backfield come out there. Kevin Wilson on the quick hitter up the middle, and the senior from Lakota High School gets a great block from David George to spring him. And now the robust T. George is the fullback, flanked by two freshmen, Gino Mattiota and Sean Borchers in the backfield. Nick Westfall at quarterback, double tight ends. Handoff comes to George, fights his way, and I think he got the first down, not by much, but he needed to get to the 30-yard line, and that's where the officials put his right foot.
Some nice, tough inside running there by David George. Not a lot of push by the offensive line, but enough for the first down.
First and 10, Dayton. The second half just underway with the Flyers trailing 14-10. McKendree scored all their points within the first 5 minutes of the ball game. In fact, they scored all their points before Dayton had run a single offensive play. The Flyers a touchdown in their first possession, then a second quarter field goal by Mike Pulsford. 14-10 we stand. First and 10 Dayton, their own 30-yard line. Westfall rolling out, has some time, now is being pressured, rolling for the sideline, he throws it out of bounds.
Shows some poise there. He didn't have anybody open, rolled out to the right-hand side and tossed the ball out of bounds. And sometimes, a lot of times, a young guy will try and make a throw that maybe is not too bright, but Nick definitely showed some maturity there.
Westfall tucks the ball in his hip, rolls, stops, thought he had a man open, didn't pull the trigger on that, continued to roll. I think the man he thought he had open was his center, Brian Tracy, so it's just as well he did not throw that ball. 2nd down and 10. After the incomplete pass, the ball at the Flyers' own 30-yard line. Big pinch coming from the outside. Westfall drops, throws, pass in the flat is incomplete. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of A.J. Cohen, a sophomore from Cincinnati Summit Country Day and a transfer from the Air Force Academy.
Boy, Westfall showing no conscience there. That was a long throw back across the field on an out pattern. On our Time Warner Sports replay right here, you can see that's a long throw for Nick because you're throwing from the middle of the field all the way to the sidelines, but he gets really a nice throw and just a drop there. That hurts.
Yeah, that ball should have been caught. That ball should have been caught. 3rd down and 10. Ball still at the 30-yard line. Here in the 3rd quarter, 13:38 to go. Dayton trailing 14-10. Flyers with the ball, Westfall to throw, big rush, and the ball batted down in his face. Incomplete as Oku Satcher got a big paw on it. And Dayton will have to punt the football away on their first possession of the second half.
Dayton trying to set up the screen there, and you've got it. You let the defensive lineman come through on the screen, but you still have to hold him up for a second, because if you don't, this is what happens. You can see right here, a little stun up front by big number 95, and he gets those big paws up there and knocks down the pass.
Andy McKelvey with the wind at his back, and he can let it all hang out on this one. He does not have to finesse this ball at all. Good snap from McCall. McKelvey airs it out. It's a low kick. Now it gets some height on it, and a fair catch signaled for by Berkner back at his 30-yard line. And that's where McKendree will take over. 40-yard punt by McKelvey. No return. 14-10 score remains, and McKendree has the 4-point lead and the football for the first time here in the second half.
Larry, I tell you what, I just want to say, Pat McLaughlin being a gamer coming out, you can see when he walked back onto the field for the second half, in a lot of pain with that hand, but still out here with his teammates. That's a sign of a leader.
1st and 10 for McKendree. Wing T, misdirection. Murphy counter handoff, and Dayton flies to the ball real quick. Chuck Colstall the first to arrive, followed by his fellow linebacker Brad Van Fleet. It's a gain on the play of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
I'm a bit surprised they don't try and get him outside. If he's got that 4-1 speed that we've talked about, not to get him outside a little bit more, to get a chance to take a look at the Time Warner Sports replay right now. And a little misdirection. It's kind of the first time that we've seen that from McKendree, but it didn't really work. UD's defense stayed at home, made a nice play.
2nd down and 7. Fumble in the backfield. Gray picks up the ball, busted play, pumps downfield, then takes a punishing hit after gaining perhaps a yard. I tell you, Marty McNamara was not supposed to be a great tackler at the corner, but he's done a pretty good job of laying some licks on the Bearcats tonight. That's a gain of 1, 3rd down and 6.
We saw Marty miss a tackle early in the game, but he has really settled down. I think those emotions have kind of gotten checked. And he's played tough. Done a nice job. There's a little miss handoff there on the play fake, and Gray puts his head down and he takes a lick himself.
3rd down and 6. Wing T formation behind Gray, hands it off inside to Carnes, and not even close to the first down. He gets maybe a couple. And the Dayton defense, on its first challenge of the second half, meets that challenge. And the punting unit should be out on the field shortly for McKendree, or will they? It's 4th down and 2, and now they come out on the field.
You know what, Larry, we should mention the fact that this wing T offense is not something that Dayton is probably going to see the rest of the season. It's something that they've had to prepare for just through camp.
Closest they're going to come to it is St. Joseph's, which will be in here for a home game. And in fact, it's close enough that in the film exchange, McKendree requested that Dayton send them a copy of their St. Joseph's film so they could see how Dayton did against that type of attack. Schuster awaiting the kick of Albertini. Into the wind, line drive. But boy, he got all of his leg into it. Schuster fields at the 13, across the 15, 20, 22. That's not much further than that. And the Dayton Flyers will take over there with 11:52 to play in the third quarter, and still McKendree leading 14-10.
Dayton's punt return has been a little lackluster here tonight, Larry. Just these are the things early season that you have to work out. The game speed of this kind of stuff is a lot different than the practice that you've been going through for 3 weeks.
New quarterback for the Flyers, Jason Arling now. The sophomore from St. Xavier will try his hand at the helm. Again, senior Pat McLaughlin out with a compound dislocation of the ring finger on his left hand. Nick Westfall's been QBing it ever since the first series. Now, Jason Arling in there. He hands off on first down, and play inside to Kevin Wilson is good for about a yard or two.
This is where you got to get behind the horses of your offensive line. Go with the experience up front. You've got Paul Converson, who's played there for 3 years. Zimmerman has experience. Matt Macy has experience. You've got your captain Stangl up front there. Let these young quarterbacks know, hey, we're here for you. We're going to block for you. Just do your thing, baby.
Second down and 9, a pickup of 1 by Wilson. It's George and Wilson behind Arling. Arling with his first series at the helm. He is back to throw. He lobs it out there. Stangl can't make the catch. Pass broken up nicely by Nick Bruce, the free safety of McKendree. Ball had maybe just a little bit too much air underneath it.
Yeah, gorgeous spiral, but I think he needed just you're right, like just a little too much touch. And once again, playing against a defense like McKendree, the speed is going to be a little bit quicker. It's going to take him a couple of snaps to get the feel for this game. We're getting a chance right now to look at the Time Warner Sports instant replay, and a nice exchange from the center to the quarterback there. Arling drops back and throws a beautiful looking spiral, but just a little bit too much air, and was knocked away.
Third down and 9 for Dayton. Arling will run the option. He's got some running room. Then the hole closes down, and he is stopped after a pickup of just 5 on the play. And Andy McKelvey will come on to boom the ball away with 10:56 to play in this third quarter, and Dayton still trailing 14-10. Obviously, Jimmy Lee dinged up a little bit more than we thought in that first half, as we have yet to see him return to the playing surface since he suffered what appeared to be some type of leg or knee injury, trying to rush the punter. McKelvey lets it out. Line drive kick, but backpedaling Berkner fields at his 28. Looking for running room. Dayton's coverage is excellent as they wrap him up at the 25. He fields at the 28. He moves backwards 3 yards. And Andy McKelvey with a 50-yarder right there. Jimmy Lee, a bruised thigh. And, you know, I tell you what, that can hurt bad.
Yeah. I have had some experience with that my freshman year at UD and then in high school as well, and those can be very painful. This is just great coverage. We're getting a chance to look at the replay right now in the booth. And look at Joe McCall right here. He just blows up the first guy, and that gives the rest of the coverage team a chance to hem in the back, and just nice defense there.
And don't forget, Joe was the guy who snapped the ball on that punt. One of the first men downfield. Handoff inside to Carnes, and he found a little bit of a crease to carry the ball out close to the 30-yard line, a pickup of just about 5. It'll be second down and 5. 10:08 to go in this third quarter, and all of a sudden, after the flurry of scoring early, both teams score on their first possessions, plus McKendree getting that fortuitous break, the fumbled kickoff, and the 25-yard drive, and that's the margin right now, leading Dayton 14-10. The two teams slugging it out ever since. Option play for Gray, pitches back to Jackson, and Brad Tobey runs him down.
Great backside pursuit there by Brad Tobey. That is just good football. He has got all the Tobeys have a nose for a football, and you know, Brad they've all been captains. 3 of them have played here. They've all been captains. Brad is no exception. A fantastic play from the backside, running down the option.
You know, I will venture to say with 9:21 to go in this third quarter that the next team that makes a mistake is going to lose this football game.
I think you're right, Larry. This is the kind of game that's working out to be. You've got to hold on to the football.
Third down and 6 for McKendree. Dayton yet to create a turnover as Gray rolls out. He's looking to throw, fires, a man open, catch out of bounds, first down at midfield. Brett Gross with his second reception of the day, and this one hurts.
Yeah, it looked like Schuster had good coverage there, but a nice, you know, give Gray credit. He doesn't throw the ball much, but when he does, he has some zip on it. A nice pass there, a big first down.
Gross, the leading returning receiver for this McKendree team. And, well, in fact, he was the leading receiver last year as well with 13 catches for 271 yards. He's got 2 tonight, 1 for a touchdown, this one for a first down. Ball just shy of midfield. McKendree trying to mount a threat here in the third quarter. Gray again looking to throw. He's got lots of time. Pocket starts to break down. He breaks containment. Cuts upfield into open territory and finally dropped at the 32-yard line of Dayton.
The Flyers need to settle down here. A couple of big plays made by Gray. They've got to just kind of tighten their chin straps here, tighten their belts up a little bit, settle down, and try and get a stop here.
Now, first Billy Gray hurts Dayton with his arm, and then he hurts him with his legs. The pocket starts to collapse, but Dayton unable to keep containment on Gray, who saw everyone covered downfield. He tucked it under. A strong runner. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. On first down to the 32-yard line. Handoff goes inside, good for a yard, and it'll be second down and 9 at the 31. 8:17 to play in the third quarter. The score as it was at halftime, 14-10. McKendree leads the Dayton Flyers. Second down and 9. McKendree into Dayton territory. 2 of the 4 times they've been here, they've scored touchdowns. Murphy on the sweep, heading outside and brought down. A nice tackle made by Brad Schuster as somehow Schuster just shedded blockers to get to the ball carrier.
I tell you what, it's either we're saying his name every time, but he is playing a solid football game for the Flyers out there. He's all over the field and is making solid tackles.
Spot the ball at the 28-yard line. That means it is now third down and 6.
A big down here, Larry.
Dayton needs a stop. Needs a stop right here. This could be 4-down territory right here for McKendree, though, so they're going to need perhaps back-to-back stops. Gray to throw. Dayton puts pressure on him. He gets away, but back to the line of scrimmage, and that's as far as he gets.
Solid tackling by the Flyers there. The pocket was there. It collapsed once again, but this time Gray was not able to get to the inside. Nice defense. Joe McCall with the tackle.
4th down and 6. And the special teams unit comes out on the field. And we're going to see a field goal attempt by Brian Schneider. Schneider will be attempting a 44-yarder into the wind. He's right in the middle of the field. Jared Grebner will be the holder.
Brian Schneider will attempt the field goal.
Dayton jumping around, low snap, kick is up, and it is good. It just sneaked through, but I tell you what, that is a big kick right there for Brian Schneider. And with 6:25 to go in the third quarter, it's a 7-point ball game. McKendree College 17, Dayton 10. This is Dayton Flyer football.
Can we talk about birth control for a second? No, it's for your pets. Each year, millions of dogs and cats must die in animal shelters because there just aren't enough good homes. Please, have your pets spayed or neutered. Right, guys?
Larry Hanskin, Chad Duff back here at Welcome Stadium. Again, the pooch kick, again fielded by the up man. This is Josh Clark, and Clark gets out to the 37-yard line. And that's where the Dayton offense will go back to work. Well, a McKendree drive able to answer Mike Bolsford's 46-yard field goal as Brian Schneider hits maybe a more impressive 44-yarder into the wind, although it just barely squeaked over and didn't look like he got all of it. Snap didn't look good, but you know what?
Counts.
Ball went through the uprights. That's all that matters. You don't get a 4th point if it looked pretty.
Yeah, it was a effective kick. That's all it has to be.
Jason Arling at quarterback for Dayton. His second series for the Flyers. Hemmelgarn in motion. Dayton with backs in the eye. It's Wilson and George. Handoff to Kevin Wilson. Sprint draw to the outside. He picks up a couple of yards on the play. We have good news. Pat McLaughlin's compound dislocation of his left finger, meaning the bone did break the skin, but He hit it on the helmet as he went down, and the early indications are he's going to be back next week. So forget all that talk about him missing numerous games or perhaps a season if he would decide to medical redshirt. He's going to be back next week. So that is good news indeed. 2nd down and 8 for Dayton, their own 38-yard line, trailing 17-10. Arling, pressure from behind. He doesn't feel it, but he throws, gets it away. Caught by George, coming out of the backfield for a first down. That's as close as you can come to getting sacked without getting sacked.
I tell you what, he was bearing down on him from the backside, and he didn't feel the pressure, but boy, he kept going through his progressions from his first target, second target, third target. We're getting a chance to look right now at the Time Warner Sports instant replay, and you can see right here a nice fake to the inside. He's bearing down on him, but boy, he goes through his progressions and a nice pass out into the flats.
Jimmy Lee with a bruised thigh that tightened up at halftime, so he just hasn't been able to get that thing loose yet. He's yet to see the field here in the second half. It's Kevin Wilson, the deep back in the eye. Dayton in McKendree territory at the 48. We got a whistle and a flag, and the play blown dead before it really gets off the ground, and that would indicate it'd be a procedure penalty against the Flyers.
I tell you what, I'm a little worried, Larry. I'm not sure. They're working on Andy McKelvey down on the bench. Steve Foster's down there, Dr. Tim Quinn, and I don't know what Andy did, but they're chatting with him a little bit down there, and that's got me concerned.
Jimmy Lee on the sideline trying to stretch that thigh out, first penalty on the Flyers in this football game, only a 5-yarder, but I tell you what, at this juncture it hurts. 5:31 to go, trailing 17-10. The Dayton offense needs to make something happen here. Flyers have not been a big play team here tonight. McKendree has. Arling option, keeps and fights his way ahead for a yard. That makes it 2nd down and 14.
Jason Arling, the ball player.
Jason Arling, the 3rd quarterback to see action tonight for Dayton. He's a sophomore from St. Xavier in Cincinnati, 5'11", 212 pounds. Pat McLaughlin started, dislocated that finger, replaced by Nick Westfall. Westfall played the remainder of the first half, first series of the second half, but now we're seeing Jason Arling out there. George single set back, Wilson in the slot, 2nd down and 14. Ball at the 48 of Dayton. Arling back to throw, stands in, delivers, deep ball down the middle for Hemmelgarn, and he can't make the catch. Battling every step of the way with Rory O'Connell, and it was just who wanted it more, and I think they both wanted it pretty bad. O'Connell won by a fraction.
Yeah, great effort there. Nick, just a little too much air underneath the ball. Just needed to throw it out there a little bit more. Trust his receiver running downfield. The Time Warner Sports instant replay. A good pass, once again a good spiral, but just a little bit too much loft. You got to trust your receiver's speed out there. A great battle for the ball, just can't quite come up with it.
So 3rd down and 14 for Dayton at their own 48-yard line. Andy McKelvey sitting on the bench, his helmet is off. So that does not bode well. Perhaps he is shaken up. Arling rolling out, rolling, throws one out of bounds on the sidelines. It will be 4th down. McKelvey up off the bench.
I saw Yonker warming up down here too. It'll be interesting to see who trots out there, Larry.
Now, it's not going to be Andy McKelvey. Boy, I tell you what, this has been a bizarre opening night.
We're looking at the instant replay right now, and just good coverage downfield. No one to throw to. Had to throw the ball out of bounds. I think, is it Yonker is the punter for the Flyers?
Well, Andy McKelvey on the sidelines. First time in 4 years that he has not punted a football. Matt Yonker gets away a kick, and it takes a great bounce that Dayton can get down on it, and they do. Inside the 5-yard line is great hustle by Brad Toby to get it down there, and a nice job by the youngster.
I tell you what,
Matt Yonker, the freshman from Swanton, which is up near Toledo, ends up kicking one down the old coffin corner, and there again, on a night when you didn't expect Matt Yonker to be punting the football, you didn't expect Jason Arling or Nick Westfall to be playing quarterback, they're having to step up and make plays, and they do.
Exactly. You know what? That's Flyer style right there. Great hustle, and that's great execution on special teams. That's what it takes to win ball games late in the second half. That's where we're at. Great effort by the freshman right there, making an instant impact in a Flyer uniform.
Okay. McKendree at their 5-yard line. McKelvey's got a concussion. So I would say he is doubtful the rest of the night.
Boy, it's like a mass unit down there today. We are just...
Who'd have thought it? I mean, you expect injuries to take their toll over the course of the season, not over the course of your opening game.
And your key players, nonetheless.
Gain of 2, second down. Check that, gain of 4. It'll be second down and 6. The ball out to the 8-yard line. Handoff inside. Carnes stuffed up and got perhaps to the 10. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 5. Now Dayton can come up with a stop here.
Yep.
This could be huge.
Field position is going to be, a key late in the ball game like this, and to make McKendree have to punt out of their own end zone, that would be huge.
3rd down and 5. Gray brings him up to the line of scrimmage. Again, they just hand it off inside, and coming up a couple of yards short is going to be Carnes.
Looks like they were just trying to get the punter a little bit more room down there, reserved for the fact that they weren't going to get the first down. And
well, Dayton may try a different wrinkle here, or will they? I thought perhaps they were going to send David George out along with Brad Schuster, but it will just be Schuster in single safety. And with respecting the leg of Albertini, he's standing back at his own 40-yard line. Albertini standing at the goal line. Well, this would be a great place for a bad snap. It's a good snap, and it's a good kick. Line drive fielded by Schuster at his 40. 45, he's at midfield, juking, diving, darting, and he's in the McKendree territory at the 48-yard line of the Bearcats.
Well, there it is, the kicking game. We get a great kick by the freshman punter, Yonker. He pins him down deep, and then that forces McKendree to have to punt back, and now the Flyers are starting, I think, for the first time in the ball game inside their own territory.
Schuster, nice return there. I tell you what, give Brad Schuster some credit for keeping his head up after fumbling on that first kick return. He's been solid ever since. 1st and 10. Dayton at the 48 on McKendree. Arling. First man through is David George, and George carries to the 46. That is a gain of 2. It will be 2nd down and 8.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Flyers try and get on David George's shoulders here for a little bit, let him carry some of the load.
Jimmy Lee with the bruised thigh. Pat McLaughlin, a dislocated, compound dislocation of his ring finger. And punter Andy McKelvey with a concussion. That's the casualty list for Dayton right now. 2nd down and 8. Arling to throw. Fires it out in the flat. Caught by Clark. 1st down at the 34-yard line of McKendree.
Good execution there. Arling put a little zip on the ball. Didn't try and do the lofting thing. Put it out there. Josh made a nice play. 1st down, Flyers.
Josh Clark from Hamilton Township near Columbus. Saw some action last year. Caught a couple of balls and has his first grab of this season, catching the ball right in front of the corner, Colin Adams. 1st and 10, Dayton at the McKendree 33. The Bearcats show blitz. Dayton picks it up. Arling fires it out, and it's almost intercepted. Intended for Hemmelgarn, but nearly picked off by Rory O'Connell. And had he done it, gone. Yeah, no doubt about it. So the fans breathe a sigh of relief, and we'll watch it again with our hearts in our chest this time.
Yeah, a nice play by Hemmelgarn really to kind of knock the ball away here at the last second, because you turn into a defensive back there at the end of the play.
He did a good job of stripping O'Connell there. 2nd down and 10 to 33. Fumbled snap, and McKendree recovers. 3rd time tonight that Dayton has fumbled a snap. The 2nd time they've lost it. When I say fumbled a snap, a bad exchange from center to quarterback.
You know, it's something that you don't think about. A lot of people take it for granted every day, but you know what? You can't run your offense unless your quarterback has the ball. We're getting a chance to look at the replay right now, and once again, it looked like there was some confusion on the snap count. Yeah, that's a bad break for the Flyers. We talked about turnovers being the key to this game late. That's a costly one for the Flyers.
College football final today, Michigan 26, Notre Dame 22. 17-10 here, McKendree leading Dayton. Gray back to throw. He's got time, lots of time. Has a man open over the middle. Incomplete. Brad Schuster may have just ticked that ball away at the last second from a streaking Brandon Murphy.
Well, they're picking on Schuster from every different angle tonight.
Schuster, a junior out of Lowell, Michigan's never got this much airtime in his previous 2 years as a Dayton Flyer, but he is being spoken of much tonight, and to his credit, most often in a very positive light. We're also supposed to mention Chuck Updegrove's name.
Get him back in the broadcast.
Chuck Updegrove shooting the highlights, and you can enjoy those all season long on the Mike Kelly Show.
Glad to have him back.
Handoff to Jackson on the sweep. Bear hugged at the defensive end by Joe McCall and dropped. Gain of about 2 on the place. Make it 3rd down and 8.
Joe has played a nice all-around game. He's played well from that defensive end slot and snapping the football to the punter, going down and making stops on that coverage team. Has just had a solid ball game all around.
Well, a big play coming up right here for Dayton. We're under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter, and the Flyers trailing by a touchdown and an extra point at 17-10. McKendree on top. Dayton's latest penetration into Bearcat territory, ending with a fumble. McKendree's yet to turn the ball over. Dayton's done it 3 times. Handoff inside to Daniel Simic, and he had daylight, and then all of a sudden it got real dark for him as Dayton shut that play down, and Albertini will be on to punt the football.
A nice stick there by the Toby. He came up from that defensive back spot and put an end to that McKendree drive.
Schuster back in single safety. Albertini's shown a real strong leg tonight kicking the football, and most often he's kicking the ball away from Schuster. So Brad's had to try to get to the sideline to try to field these punts.
Yeah, you can't get your feet set when you're kind of moving backwards to catch the ball. It's a lot tougher to get your momentum going forward and make something happen.
Well, that'll take care of the 3rd quarter. Our score at the end of 3, it is McKendree. Albertini standing at his own 30, gets it away, end over end kick. Schuster lets it hit in front of him, and it checks up. Heading for the sidelines, now bouncing back the other way, and McKendree has to down it at about the 22-yard line. Dayton will begin there, and we've seen 3 different quarterbacks play for the Flyers tonight. Senior Pat McLaughlin starts, gets injured on the first series, replaced by Nick Westfall. He throws a 26-yard touchdown pass to David George. We saw him the rest of the first half. Here in the second half, though, it's been Jason Arling, the sophomore from Cincinnati St. Xavier, and he comes out on the field again with Dayton trailing by 7, 17-10.
You know, offensive coordinator Dave Woolding going into this game this was his worst nightmare as far as the week has gone. The week has gone up to this.
Well, and he will be our post-game guest on Coach's Corner. Arling hands it off to Wilson, smothered for a loss of 2 in the play. Just got absolutely drilled before he could take a few steps upfield. Ricardo Harris flattened him. Watching our Time Warner Sports replay, it's not going to be a pretty sight. Wilson sees a hole and then gets a helmet underneath the chin.
That's called blowing somebody up right there.
2nd down and 12. With Dayton needing to get something going offensively here, trailing by 7 with just about a minute gone in the 4th quarter. Arling rolling out, steps up in the pocket, sheds a tackler, spins, dives, and gets it out to the 25-yard line somehow.
That's a great effort there. They're making something out of nothing. Nice, made one guy miss, spin on another guy, and made it into a positive play.
It's a pickup of 7, but they'll need 7 more. Rather, it was a pickup of 5. They'll need 7.
We're getting a chance to see the replay right now, and you can see the thing is closed down, and now it's just time to improvise. Arling makes one guy miss, nice spin move there, and then picks up the 7.
3rd down and 7. Big play for Dayton to their own 25. Arling back to throw. Here comes pressure up the middle. He feels it, dumps off the screen pass, deflected, and David George having to come back for the ball. Catches it, but only gets back to the line of scrimmage, and the Flyers will have to punt the ball away, and it'll be Matt Junker, not senior Andy McKelvey, punting the football, as McKelvey is out with a concussion.
McKendree did a little stunt up there. It's kind of you call it a Tom stunt, a little game stunt where the one defensive lineman goes first, and then the other guy kind of loops around. And once again, a nice defensive play, getting their hands up, knocked the ball down. David made a good adjustment, but just nothing there.
Yunker will kick the ball to twin safeties standing back at their own 30-yard line. They may put a lot of pressure on the freshman right here. He can air it out, punting against the wind. Hangs it up pretty decent. Fair catch signaled and made for by Berkner at his own 33-yard line. That's where McKendree gets the football with 12:43 to go. Dayton is trailing 17-10. See Jimmy Lee on the sideline trying so desperately to loosen up that thigh. He's got the deep thigh bruise. It tightened up on him at halftime. He's trying to get it loose. You know, McKendree penalized on the play for the block that injured him, but I tell you what, Dayton has been penalized more so than McKendree was by the yardage walked off because Jimmy Lee's been unable to run at tailback since that play.
And now we see Mike Crimmins getting an ankle tape down here as UD's defense is on the field, so another loss for the Flyers.
First and 10, McKendree, 33. Handoff inside to Carnes, and Carnes busts ahead for 2, maybe 3 yards. Out to the 36-yard line. Call that a gain of 3, make it 2nd down and 7. 12.5 to go. Dayton a touchdown and an extra point behind McKendree. McKendree scored their 2nd play from scrimmage and then scored 5 plays after a Dayton fumble. They've yet to just march the ball down the field and stick it in Dayton, and then they were able to add a field goal here in the 3rd quarter. Counter play, handoff to Simic. Simic spun down at the 39-yard line. Covered up by Dustin Sullivan. Joe McCall dropped him.
Trainer Steve Foster is feverishly working on Crimmins' ankle down there. It's his left ankle, trying to get it taped up and get him back in the ball game. You know what? That's where your support staff comes into a huge play. You don't think about them all the time, but get them ready to go and get them back out there.
McKendree yet to turn the ball over. They have not left the ball on the ground once tonight, and quarterback Billy Gray has been on target when he has thrown the ball on a few occasions. Pitch back to Murphy on the toss sweep. Cuts upfield, breaks containment. Down the sideline. Toby with an angle, spins him out of bounds, but not until he gets deep inside Dayton territory to the 25-yard line of the Flyers.
There was that speed that we were worried about going into the broadcast, and he gets to the outside, makes a fantastic run on there. And once again, look who's leading this play, too. It's the quarterback, Gray, that sweeps out there. That's how this wing T works. He gets the corner right there, a nice cut block, and up the sideline. Now it's just a foot race. Luckily, Toby has an angle on him, and he never quits and is able to save a touchdown here. But a big gainer for McKendree.
Well, the Dayton defense really needs to dig in here, and Steve Foster's taping that ankle of Mike Crimmins at faster than he's probably ever taped an ankle. 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Simic in motion, takes the wide handoff. Now check that. Gray kept it himself and turned it upfield behind Simic, and he's down inside the 20 to the 19-yard line.
Well, this is where your conditioning comes into play through camp and whatnot. It's the 4th quarter. Your defense is playing in a physical ball game. You just got to really reach down deep in there and just it's gut check time for the UD defense.
2nd down and 4 after a gain of 6. Under 11 minutes to play in the game. Flyers trailing by 7, 17-10, and McKendree threatening. Gray on the rollout, cuts upfield again, and again he's able to get positive yardage and very close to a 1st down.
Gray has got this offense really going right now for McKendree. It's designed to pick up bits and pieces a little bit at a time, and that's what it's doing, and very effective, chewing up real estate, chewing up clock, and those are both things the Flyers can't afford right now.
Well, he was short of the 1st down on 3rd and less than a yard. He's going to call timeout, and McKendree goes to the bench, as does the Dayton defense. And I'll tell you what, we're keeping it here as it is a bleak situation right now for Dayton, and a very quiet crowd here at Welcome Stadium. The west side stands pretty full. I mean, this has been a good crowd in terms of numbers tonight, but they appear to be a bit taken aback by the early events of the ball game, and now the most recent events of the game as this slugfest, this pitcher's duel. All of a sudden, McKendree able to break a big play as Murphy gets outside, and already with a 1-touchdown lead and 10:28 to go, are threatening with a 3rd and less than a yard at the Dayton 16-yard line. And I tell you what has got maybe the Dayton fans worried is the fact that, yeah, Dayton is trailing by 7 and looking at trailing by more, but the offensive weapons that Dayton is without at this point in time. Senior quarterback Pat McLaughlin, senior running back Jimmy Lee, punter Andy McKelvey. Although Matt Yunker's done a great job in the 2 kicks he's had to make, you just feel a little uneasy knowing you don't have your money people at your disposal right now.
Yeah, that was true, Larry. Going into this game, we knew that your big players had to make big plays, and right now for the Flyers, a lot of them out with injury.
Now, big play needed on defense. Third, less than a yard. Gray kicks it inside to Carnes, and I think he does have the first down.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to spot it right about the 15-yard line, and that would be more than enough for the first down. And there goes the chains.
It is the first down. The chains are moved, and the clock stops with 10:24 left to play in the game. Now, Dayton has played 3 quarterbacks tonight. McKendree's got a player down on the ground. And it appears to be their center, Brad Marshall.
You talk about worst case scenario there, because it is the first game of the season too, and you don't have a lot of you're trying to work for that continuity, you're trying to feel each other out, and then you've got running different quarterbacks in there and different tailbacks. And right now, once again, as you were talking earlier, Jimmy Lee, he is trying so hard to get that thigh up and running, but he's really struggling down there and laboring down there to get loose. I don't know if we're going to see Jimmy anymore this game.
Boy, you can tell the young man's hurting. I'll tell you what, the old saying, there's a difference between pain and injury. He's dealing with an injury right now.
Yep.
Not just pain.
And trying to, to his credit, trying to play through it. The Flyers defense is trotting over to the sidelines right now to get some.
Well, the officials sent Dayton's defense over, as it's apparently going to take some time to attend to the injured McKendree player. Again, we'll do a little promoting of the things that we've got going on News Talk 1290 WHIO. First of all, the Mike Kelly Show, Sunday mornings, 11 o'clock. My partner, Chad Duff, will be joined by Flyer coach Mike Kelly. It's a chance for you to talk Dayton football. You can also hear comments from Coach Kelly during the week, Thursday mornings at 7:40. It's Point After, as he joins sports director Dax Dunbar with a look at the previous week's game, a look ahead towards the next opponent at 7:40 Thursday mornings on Miami Valley's Morning News with Dan Edwards. And, of course, we invite you to tune into that program, not just Thursday mornings, but each and every morning. And we tip our hats to the fine folks at Time Warner. The Time Warner sports people have been great to work with again this year, per usual, and we are so thrilled to be able to be a part of this broadcast live into numerous homes throughout the Miami Valley, and then also shown back via tape delay. So if you're perhaps listening to this game tonight on News Talk 1290 WHIO or listening on the web, and you want to know when you can watch this game again, well, they're going to show it again Sunday at 8 and also Tuesday at 8. So watch early and often. Center Brad Marshall helped off the field, and while you certainly do not want to benefit at the cost of someone else's misfortune, perhaps Dayton can do just that here, because we've seen Dayton have troubles with the center quarterback exchange with different quarterbacks. Now a different center comes in from McKendree in Barry Vanderheiden, and he'll snap the ball cold back to Billy Gray. They do it cleanly, and on first down, the carry by Mike Villa gains about a yard, maybe 2 outside the right tackle. And McKendree obviously would love to just grind this out. They would like to. They're in no hurry to get into the end zone right now. Brian Schneider showing plenty of leg on a 44-yard field goal into the wind. And right now, looking at his chip shot with the wind behind him, at any rate, McKendree feeling pretty good about being able to make this a 2-score ball game with 9:40 to play. Looking right now at a 2nd down and 9 at the Dayton 14. Gray comes up underneath his new center, hands the ball off inside to Carnes, and he's tripped up after a gain of a yard.
Big 3rd down play right here for the Flyers. A couple of nice defensive plays tripped up there. It's a 3rd and 8 situation right now. This is a big stop for UD. If they're going to give up any points, they can try and be a field goal, not a touchdown.
I really think that McKendree is going to be very conservative here. I think they're just going to probably. Here's my guess, and I'm not the expert. I'm just calling the action. I'm going to guess they're going to run left here, try to get the ball centered up in the middle of the field for a chip shot field goal. They come out with a wing tee. Gray runs it left. Handoff inside, though, and almost breaking it, Daniel Simic, and he gets down. inside the 10 to the 8-yard line.
Decision time now, Larry. We know that
I
they've
tell you
gone for
what.
some fourth downs before.
They're looking at a 4th and 3. 4th and 3.
No kickers come out yet.
Here they come.
There they are.
Now the kicker comes on the field. And I tell you what, if Dayton could ever get a block on, this would be a good place to do it. 8:22 left to go in the game. The offense has not been real crisp tonight, but that's understandably slow. So, with the amount of injuries the Flyers have had to key offensive personnel.
Joel Bierhoff running out there to try and block this as well for Jimmy Lee's spot.
25-yard attempt and flagged down. And did Dayton jump offside and make contact? If they did, it's 1st and goal. False start, delay a game. McKendree. They'll back it up.
I wonder if they decided to take that penalty. Sometimes kickers have a mental block or don't like the angle of a kick in a certain spot.
Maybe they wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell.
Okay. Well, I tell you what this does, so it's wise for Dayton to accept the penalty, because now if Dayton jumps offside, they would not be giving up a 1st down.
Very good.
Schneider will be attempting a 30-yard field goal. Good snap, kick is up, and he drilled it, but he missed it. Oh, he missed it. He missed it, but a flag is down. The flag is down. Do we have a roughing the kicker? It's right at the point where Dayton was rushing in on the kicker, and a flag was dropped right there. Oh, and Brad Tobey, the defensive captain, beside himself. This is not going to be good for Dayton. We see the replay right from the end zone camera, and we watch the ball miss. He did hook it wide, but if we've got a personal foul penalty on Dayton, this drive is alive.
Yeah, Larry, I kept my eye there, not on the ball on the replay, but on the kicker, and he went down hard at the end of that play. Now, was someone pushed into him, or did Dayton just flat out run into him? That's the question. That's the million-dollar question right now, because it makes a big difference in their offense running back onto the field.
Sure does. 1st down and goal for McKendree. Well, Dayton, very few penalties in this ball game. I believe that's only their 2nd penalty. But it couldn't hurt anymore. 8:01 to go, and now all of a sudden, instead of a great defensive stand to keep it a 1-score ball game, Dayton defending a 1st and goal situation with the ball at the 6-yard line. Flyers need to find some magic. Gray hands it off inside, chugging for the end zone, and did he get in? Yes, touchdown. Jared Carnes with his longest run from scrimmage tonight. He's been ripping off 1- and 2-yard gallops, but this time he goes 6 into the end zone for the touchdown.
Well, Larry, the only thing that if you can draw a positive out of it, and we're going to take a look at the replay right now, this is just a nice hard run on the inside by Carnes. He gets the handoff clean. Nice blocking by the offensive line of McKendree, and he puts his head down, barrels to the end zone, barely makes it in, but it's a score all the same, and makes it a 2-possession game.
Extra point by Schneider is good. 7:55 to play in the contest, and the score is now McKendree 24, Dayton 10. This is Flyer football. Keeping it simple may not be the motto anymore, because 7:47 to go. You got to get into the end zone twice, Chad. We may see Dayton have to open things up a little bit. Not that they've been playing so terribly conservative so far, but the game plan is going to be adjusted right now.
You have to, Larry. You'd like to keep it simple, but you just can't at this point in the game. You're going to have to throw the football, get out of bounds, stop the clock, and move it down the field.
Dayton comes with 3 men wide and 1 back. That is David George. Jason Arlings, sophomore from Cincinnati St. Xavier, rolls out, throws for Josh Clark, incomplete.
I tell you what, McKendree only rushed 6 people there, it looked like, so they're not going to do a lot of blitzing or whatnot. They're going to kind of play soft and make the Flyers beat them with the passing game.
A little prevent defense. Offensive coordinator Dave Wilding just telling Jason Arling to play as he stands near the sideline after the incompletion. 2nd down and 10 for the Flyers. They're on 29-yard line. David George will be the single setback. They've got the tight end and 3 wideouts. So Jimmy Lee still out of the ball game, trying to loosen up that thigh, the deep thigh bruise. Arling short drop, throws, airs it out. Nice catch made by Ryan Jones. Jones down the sideline, driven out of bounds, and that's a Dayton first down at the 47-yard line.
That's what it's going to take. A nice little out pattern there, a nice throw. Get up the field, get out of bounds, eat some real estate up, and keep the chains moving. That's what the Flyers are going to have to do the rest of this ball game.
Ryan Jones out of Newark Catholic. That has been a Dayton connection. He has a chance of being maybe the second best receiver to come out of Newark Catholic and play at University of Dayton, because Bill Franks is going to hold that title for a long time. 1st and 10. Handoff inside David George, and David busts his way into McKendree territory to the 45-yard line of the Bearcats, and the Dayton Flyers are alive. 7:24 to go, trailing by 14, but they're moving the football and looking at a 2nd down and 3 inside Bearcat territory at the McKendree 45.
Keep an eyeball on a play-action pass right here. Nice little pop up the middle with George. Don't be surprised if the Flyers come back with play action and try and go something up top.
Kevin Wilson checks back in, so Dayton running out of the traditional I with 2 men wide. Arling gives to Wilson. Wilson spins his way for the first down. Ball spotted at the 42-yard line, and with the first down, the clock stops with 6:53 to go. They'll move the chains, and the Dayton drive stays alive.
Kevin Wilson has done a nice job in this ball game. We talked about running north and south, and getting a chance right now to see the replay on Time Warner Sports. And you can see he's not fooling around. He sees the hole. He's trusting his lineman, puts his head down and fights for that first down. A great run there by the senior.
1st and 10, Dayton 42-yard line of McKendree. 3 men wide. George a single setback. Jones to the left, Hemmelgard to the right. Clark in a slot. Arling short drop, pressure outside, throws, dropped. Hemmelgard had it, but couldn't hang on to it. It will be 2nd down and 10, and just a few precious seconds tick off the clock with 6:37 to go, and Dayton trailing 24-10.
Larry, like you said, we got to keep passing the football. There's just no other way around it at this point in the ball game. You'd like to be able to run it down here, but you just can't. You've got to throw.
Again, 3 men wide. George single setback behind Jason Arling, the sophomore quarterback from Cincinnati St. Xavier. Here they come. They're coming after him. Arling steps up, lost it down the sideline, running underneath it. Clark, and he just couldn't get there. Josh Clark extended himself, but could not quite get there.
Boy, that was a home run ball there that went for, and get a chance to look at the replay right now, and a nice throw, and Clark ran underneath the ball. I thought for a second that maybe he got his arm grabbed here at the end, but he didn't really complain, and as we look at the replay right now and the ball coming down, it just was just a bit out of his reach.
Just a tad. 3rd down and 10 at the 42-yard line. 6:31 to go. Dayton trails 24-10. You need a play right here.
And this is 4-down territory, Larry, if we don't get a first down here.
3rd down and 10.
Backs in the eye, Wilson and George. Here they come on the blitz. Fake on the draw. Arling steps up, fires, caught near the first down, but spun out of bounds. 2 yards short is Josh Clark, and that is definitely 4-down territory right there.
Offensive coordinator Dave Wooding is standing right where the ball is, getting a chance to look right at the replay. And a nice throw here, nice pocket presence by Arling in the pocket, but unfortunately you got to know where those sticks are. And Clark comes back to the ball, but gets forced back just a bit and leaves the Flyers just about a yard for the first down.
Well, now the Dayton crowd comes alive. Show some life here, and the Dayton players need it. 4th and 1 at the 34. They come with a robust tee. Handoff, George, he's got it. First down, Dayton at the 31-yard line, and the Flyers drive stays alive.
Great push up front by the offensive line right there. George wasn't even touched until he was 1 yard into the McKendree side of the line of scrimmage. A nice job right there by the full house backfield. Keeps this drive alive for the Flyers. Keeps hope alive for the fans here at Welcome Stadium.
6:16 to go. Dayton trails 24-10. The Flyers have got to get into the end zone twice. It's George and Wilson behind Arling. Pressure comes, hit as he threw it, but open is Hemmelgard. Did he make the catch? No. He caught the ball, but he couldn't get a foot in bounds.
Great effort there. He was aware that he was near the sidelines, and he tried to get those feet down, but was just, the ball was sort of just a little bit too far outside and was not able to get his feet in bounds. We're going to get a chance to look at the replay right now and get a chance to see his feet at the end of it, and up in the air, and it was kind of hard to tell from that angle.
Very close.
But great effort nonetheless.
Second down and 10 at the 30. 3 men wide. Clark is in a slot. Jones to the right. Hemmelgarn to the left. George single setback. Garling throws. Out pass intended for Jones. He makes the catch, trying to break a tackle. Cuts up field and fights his way ahead for 3 yards. Not much, though, and he does not get out of bounds, and the Clark continues to run with 5:41 to go. Dayton trailing 24-10.
And McKendree is really starting to blitz. The last 3 plays, they have sent a linebacker or a defensive back up the middle from the outside. They are really pressuring the Flyers right now, trying to force the Flyers into a mistake.
Now, Dayton has made some mistakes tonight. Flyers have turned the ball over 3 times. A fumbled kick return, 2 fumbles on the center quarterback exchange. McKendree's not turned the ball over. They lead 24-10. Dayton with the ball. Third down, 7 at the 27-yard line. Pressure comes.
Screen.
Gets it away. George has some blockers. David at the 20, 15, 10. Cuts back at the 5. Dives for the coach. Touchdown! What an excellent executed screen as Jason Arling stayed in there, took the punishment, and David George was not going to be denied once he smelled that end zone.
Let me tell you what, we talk about big-time players making big-time plays. Great execution. We're taking a look at the replay right now on Time Warner Sports. The line does a perfect job of releasing right when they should. They get the ball out there, and now it's the David George show. He's going to make something happen. He knows he has to get to the end zone, get to that pylon. He puts his head down. Extra effort at the end of this run. Watch this right here, folks, on your television screen. Right towards the pylon. What an effort.
The extra point by Pulsford is good. 5:03 to play in the game. It is a game. McKendree 24, Dayton 17. This is Flyer football. As Mike Pulsford approaches the ball, and he pounds it deep. Driving Berkner back to the goal line. Check that, Murphy at the goal line, brings it up. Running at the 10, 15, spinning, fighting, breaking tackles, and finally goes down at the 23-yard line as he came very close to negating the 7 points Dayton just put up.
Boy, it went from nothing there. Great coverage by the Flyers, but he kept going. And then it ended up being a touchdown-saving tackle right there at the tail end of the play.
Now it's up to the Dayton defense. 4:51 to go in this game. The Flyers have all 3 timeouts remaining, but really, they can't afford to give up more than perhaps 1 first down to McKendree. McKendree, obviously, you would think would grind it out right here. And on first down, they hand it off to Carnes. He pounds to the 25. That is a gain of 3, second down and 7. And the clock will run with 4:41 to go. Dayton trailing 24-17. David George with both Dayton touchdowns. They've both come on receptions. The most recent was a 30-yard completion from Jason Arling. He'd hauled in a 26-yarder from Nick Westfall in the first half. 4:14 left to play in the game. The play clock winding down to 5, 4, 3. They snap the ball, hand it off inside to Carnes again, and he is close to a first down.
That's too much. The Flyers defense is giving too much there. You know, McKendree's offense is just made for this type situation. The wing T is a grinded out offense, and this is a grinded out fourth quarter type situation.
Well, they're getting it in the middle of the Dayton defense. They're running up the gut and getting it right there, and they need to get 1 to keep the ball. It is 3rd down and 1 at the 32-yard line. 3:38 to go in the game. Dayton needs to come up with a stop right here. This is not 4-down territory. You make the play here, you get the football back. Gray, handoff. Carnes didn't get it. He didn't get it. Unless he gets an extremely generous spot, I do not think he got it.
I think you're right, Larry, but it's hard to tell from up here right now as the body's clear.
They didn't even measure it. They didn't even measure it. First down, McKendree. Well, that was a little closer, I thought.
Yeah,
I don't know how you could just eyeball that one.
especially with 3 minutes left in the game.
And the clock is running. 3:14 to go. Dayton may need to start burning some timeouts here. They need to come up with some big plays. McKendree has not turned the ball over. And they hand it off. This time, Simic swarming to the football. Dayton drops him for a loss back to the 30. And now the Flyers will take the first of their second half timeouts.
There's one of your 4 captains making a big play right there. Chuck Kostal sticking him, and that negates any kind of yardage at all. The Flyers get that clock stopped.
We'll watch on our Time Warner Sports replay. Simic comes on the hand sweep, and boy, Kostal just wraps him up, and here comes help. Flying to the football is Van Fleet and Toby. No gain on the play. It'll be second down and 10. Dayton with 2 timeouts remaining, 2:54 left to play in the game. McKendree leading 24-17.
If there's anything that you can be certain of, Larry, with the Dayton Flyer football team is that there's no quit in a Flyer football team. That's just not an option, you know, in these parts. And so they're going to give it everything they've got for this last 2 minutes and 54 seconds.
You know, looking at McKendree last year in a 10-game season, statistically, you know, you look at how often they left the football on the ground. And they fumbled the ball 31 times last year, lost 19 fumbles in a 10-game season, and they've not put the ball on the turf once tonight.
No, and that's been the difference. There's no, you know, no ifs, ands, or buts. You can talk about the injuries with the Flyers and whatnot. It's the turnovers that have been the difference in this ball game.
It is second down and 10 at the 33-yard line. Dayton trails by 7, 24-17 with 2:54 to go. Flyers defense needs to come up with a stop. Boy, a turnover would be Primo. Pitch comes back to Murphy, sweeping outside. He's hurt Dayton with that speed, but this time he won't get to the corner, and he's cut down after a short gain up to the 34-yard line, and Dayton will let the clock run, or no, he went out of bounds.
Then that's a great situation for the Flyers. And Marty McNamara made a fantastic play there. You got to stay home on the outside. He has contained on that play. He stayed at home. He strung it out. He got his help out there. A nice play by the Flyers defense to bring up a third down.
Third down and 9. Third down and 9, and this is not the situation McKendree wanted to be in. They want to keep the football because they know if they keep the football, they win this game. But they would love to be facing a 3rd and 3 here. They do not want to be looking at 3rd and long. They don't want to put the football up in the air. 3rd and 9, their own 34. They do hand it off inside. Carnes, he's stuck. He is stuck. He is stuffed, and Dayton calls a timeout with 2:45 to go. The Flyers will have 1 timeout remaining, but more important than that, they're going to get the football back, and the defense gets a standing ovation as they come off the field.
Larry, here comes the crowd. It's been a very nice crowd here. Haven't had a whole lot to cheer about tonight in Welcome Stadium, but they're getting behind their Flyers right now. A huge defensive stop. Now it's going to be time to see if the offense can come out and make a little Flyer magic.
Well, McKendree, as we said, has played mistake-free football. They have not turned the ball over. They have been perfect in the kicking game. They have quite simply not made a mistake. I don't think they've even had a blown coverage. I mean, this team has played an extremely good football game from the standpoint of execution.
You know, Coach Kelly knew they were going to be prepared coming in. We talked about, you know, knowing this coaching staff, playing them at the Augustanas and the Millicans, and Coach Kelly knew they were going to be prepared, and that has definitely been the case with this McKendree College football team.
2:45 left to play. Dayton trails 24-17. Mike Albertini will be punting the football. He will have the wind at his back, and Brad Schuster respecting that. And what he's seen out of Albertini's leg is waiting back at his own 20-yard line. So the Dayton Flyers probably, unless they can come up with some type of big play, are going to be facing a lot of turf to cover in a short amount of time to try and tie this football game up and perhaps, who knows, get into an overtime situation. And Jimmy Lee looking better on the sideline running. Dayton comes in and almost got it. Albertini gets it away. Schuster looks up, makes a catch at his 25 and is dropped right there at the 26. Albertini all fired up that he got that football away under severe pressure. A good punt indeed. So Dayton takes over their own 26-yard line. Jimmy Lee had his helmet on, and it'll be interesting to see if he's going to come out there on the field with this Dayton offensive unit. With 2:36 to go, one timeout to work with, Jason Arling brings the troops out on the field. The sophomore from St. Xavier will have a chance to try to do something. 3 quarterbacks from Cincinnati have played tonight for Dayton. The senior Pat McLaughlin started. He dislocated a finger. Nick Westfall came in. Now Jason Arling there. And Jimmy Lee back in the ballgame at tailback. He's deep man in the eye. Arling is back to throw. Pressure comes up the middle. He throws it out in the flat. And there's a pass interference. Flag as Jimmy Lee was totally held up, had no chance to run his route. That'll be holding, and that'll be an automatic first down.
Jimmy Lee has been chomping at the bit to get back in this game. Larry, we've watched him trying to warm up the whole second half over there, and he finally said, hey, I'm going in. I'm going to try and make something happen. Immediately, doesn't catch a ball, but they are trying to shut Jimmy Lee down. The penalty happens, and the Flyers catch a break. That's basically the Flyers' first break of the game.
Now the defensive player saying, against me? Automatic first down. The ball spotted at the spot of the foul at the 31-yard line. Pass interference.
Automatic first down.
Automatic first down, but only gained 5 yards on the play. Nevertheless, 2:31 to go, and the clock is stopped. Dayton trailing 24-17. Jason Arling, the man of the hour right now. He will try to negotiate the final 69 yards to the end zone. Lee in the slot. Hemmelgarn, Clark wide either side. George behind Arling. Arling rolls out. Short drop. He looks, fires over the middle. Incomplete. Josh Clark couldn't make the catch. The ball thrown a little behind him and low. Had his hands on it, but couldn't pull it in.
A tough adjustment for Clark right there, but probably a ball that he should have caught. But a tough break, you know. You're coming across the field and having to turn back from the way you're running. That is a tough catch.
We watch the Time Warner Sports replay that we have here in our booth. And for our radio listeners on News Talk 1290 WHIO, we describe the ball out there and on the money. It was a drop.
Those are the ones you got to have.
Clark in a slot. Jones wide right. Hemmelgarn wide left. Arling back to throw. Pocket starts to break down. He fires over the middle. Caught by Ryan Jones. He is in McKendree territory at the 44-yard line of the Bearcats. And the clock stops with 2:18 to play. That's a Dayton first down.
Watch out for the UD's Mayday offense. That's a two-minute offense, Larry. They can call the plays from the line of scrimmage. It's done with the system up there, so watch for that very soon here from the Flyers.
Jimmy Lee bounces out on the field as Ryan Jones comes off. Our Time Warner replay showing the sophomore from Newark Catholic making his second catch of the night. Ball right on the money, and a perfect pass, a perfect catch, and a timeout call by McKendree as the Bearcats try to regroup on defense with 2:18 to go. Dayton trailing 24-17. 7 out of Dayton's 10 games last year went down to the final snap of the game. Is this going to be that kind of season again?
Well, I tell you what, it's hard to say, but it's been an exciting one thus far, no doubt about it. Some exciting football being played out here by UD, and what really having to roll with the punches tonight. When you would never expect coming into a ball game that your #1 quarterback would go down, that your #1 tailback would have an injury, that your #1 punter would have an injury, that one of your defensive stars in Mike Crimmins would go down in a key series with an ankle injury needing to get taped up. I mean, you can't even plan for that kind of stuff, but the Flyers hanging in there and putting together a drive here late in the ball game.
Dayton will come with 3 men wide on 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line of McKendree. McKendree's been coming after Jason Arling. We'll see if maybe during that timeout they adjust to go into more of a prevent. George, the only setback behind Arling. He stays in to block. Arling has some time, fires sideline, caught by Hemmelgarn, and he kept a foot in bounds this time. Dragging that foot as he slid out of bounds. Completion for a first down at the 32-yard line of McKendree.
Boy, Larry, he has great presence on the sideline, getting those feet down, knowing where he's at on the field. We're going to get a chance to take a look at the replay right now, and look at this. This is just good football sense. A nice throw here by the quarterback, and as you can see, it's a long throw, and watch these feet. Watch him drag him in, keep him in bounds. You only need 1 in college, but he had 2 down. A great play there.
1st and 10, Dayton of the McKendree 32-yard line. Lee Delay handoff fake to him. Arling steps up in the pocket. It's breaking down. He is running for it and spins down at the 27-yard line. It's a pickup of about 7 on the play, but the clock is winding down with under 2 minutes to go, and Dayton trailing 24-17. Flyers should be coming up to the line of scrimmage in a hurry here. A minute 50 to go in the contest, trailing 24-17, looking at a 2nd down and 4. Backs are split behind Arling. Arling hands off inside. David George, big hole up the middle. David down inside the 10, 1st and goal.
Boy, he has been a big player, Larry, all game long. He scored both touchdowns. Anytime the Flyers have needed some key yardage, they have popped it right up the middle. Give David George credit. Give that O-line credit for making the hole. He wasn't even touched for the first 5 yards. The Flyers are making something happen.
Here we go. A minute 35 to go. And Dayton trailing by 7. It is 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. Lee and George in the eye behind Arling. 1st and goal. Arling rolling out, looks into the end zone. Touchdown! Ryan Stengel! And the Dayton Flyers are an extra point away from tying this ball game up.
Perfect execution, Larry, on the ball fake there. It looked like from the outside that we were going to see maybe a sack, but no, it was a fake. That's the way the play is designed. The tailback blocks out there, and just a great execution.
Watching our Time Warner replay, Jimmy Lee gives the block as Arling rolls out, throws, and Ryan Stengel, sure-handed, makes the catch. Mike Pulsford, the all-important extra point. Joe McCall will snap. Josetti holds, kick is up, and it is good. A minute 22 to go in the game, and the score is tied. Dayton 24, McKendree 24. This is Dayton Flyer football. Ball game up. A minute 22 left to play. If we go to overtime, there is, you do play overtime now in college football. You start on the 20 and you take turns with possessions. Pulsford squibs it down. Ball is loose on the turf. Finally, someone from McKendree picks it up. Started to break containment, and then he's dropped at the 39-yard line. It was Jared Grebner, the backup quarterback, who came up with that football. So a minute 16 to go. I got to imagine McKendree is going to try to win this football game right here. So we will probably see a little different looking offense from McKendree than we've seen heretofore. They have shown they can throw the ball, but I think perhaps in this situation, they will make no guys about it. They think they should be coming out here looking to throw. They've got 2 men wide either side, and the wing-back split a little wider than usual. Gray is back to throw. Looking, firing, sideline, incomplete.
I tell you what, I've got 4 words right now for the UD defense. Don't get beat deep. That's got to be your mindset with 1:10 left in this ball game. Gray has shown through the course of this game he has got the home run hitting capabilities at the quarterback. And we're taking a look right now at the Time Warner Sports instant replay. He throws a great deep ball, and Knight very well defended right there just out of the receiver's reach. Just don't get beat deep here.
A minute 10 to go, 2nd down and 10. Gray, handoff inside to Murphy, trying to break tackles, fights his way to the 44, and the clock will run with 1:02 left to play in the game. Quickly up to the line of scrimmage come the Bearcats. They're trying to get personnel out on the field, though. Under a minute to play. 3rd down and 5. Flag is down, pass is complete for a 1st down. Inside Dayton territory at the 48-yard line, but a flag down. I'm going to think it's going to be a procedure penalty against McKendree, and that'll bring it back with 44 seconds to go.
Yeah, Larry, there was some definite confusion there with McKendree trying to shuffle people in and out and get into that quick hurry-up offense, and I think they just didn't get everybody set there.
Well, had they not, they had executed well enough for a 1st down, but the penalty will wipe out that completion. And they'll be looking at 3rd down and 10, back where they were at the 39-yard line. The official conferring. Brad Tovey says they can either have a 1st down in your territory or repeat 3rd down 5 yards back. Brad Tovey's a senior. He's had a lot of college classes. He's able to determine that it would be in the best interest of the Dayton Flyers to accept that penalty. 44 seconds left to play. 3rd down and 10 for McKendree at their own 39. Gray drops back, draw play to Murphy. He's dangerous, but Dayton trips him up. Matt Sermon got a hold of an ankle as he went by. Dayton's got a timeout remaining. Do they want to call it here?
I don't think so, Larry. You probably let the clock just run down and take your chances in overtime.
Well, 4th down. Dayton does want the timeout. They want the timeout because with 14 seconds left to play, hey, make them punt the football. Make them make a good snap, make them block everyone, and make them get the kick off. If they can do that, fine. Go to overtime. But if they make a mistake in one phase of the kicking game, in one of those 3 phases, Dayton could have a chance still in regulation with 14 seconds to go.
And you have the wind in your face here as well to deal with, so anything can happen, that's for sure.
And I got to think you just go full tilt boogie on this play and maybe rush 11.
Yeah, could be, yeah. You really don't have anything to lose because, 14 seconds left in this ball game. You just don't want to get beat deep on a play, later on. But you could take a penalty here and just play kind of a prevent defense. Don't let anything get behind you and take your chances in overtime. What a gritty performance by the Flyers here in the second half.
Absolutely.
They just have bared down, and you're going to get adversity. And Coach Kelly preaches that. You've got to roll with the punches. It's going to, he always tells you, look, it's going to be down, boys, but it's coming back our direction. And when it comes that way, you got to be ready to grab it.
Albertini has been spectacular kicking the ball for the Bearcats. Brad Schuster in single safety. And I tell you what, Dayton is, they're smelling a fake. Albertini will kick it away, and Schuster will just let it go over his head and out of bounds. 8 seconds left to play in the game. And I'm going to think that Dayton may do nothing more than just hand the ball off, try to maybe break something, but put the ball up in the air, deep in your territory, 8 seconds to go, got a chance to win it in overtime. I don't think they will.
You get 2 mitts on that football, and you don't let that rascal get on the ground and have some fluke play beat you after you've made this huge comeback. Take your chances in overtime. Dayton's got the momentum. We talk about momentum, and it's shifted. Dayton will have it going into the overtime. You got to capitalize it.
Well, backs are split behind Arling, who has guided Dayton to 2 late touchdowns. He takes the knee, and we'll go to OT. The score at the end of regulation, it is Dayton 24, McKendree 24. This is Flyer football.
Gravity with 1 leap. She smashes the ball, and with it, the competition. They strive for speed, grace, and power, all on Time Warner Cable, with comprehensive coverage of your favorite sports, 24 hours a day. When you're ready to see a ball explode, 4 wheels fly, and the competition crumble, watch Time Warner Cable. Imagine what's next.
What's it like to be 7 and hear your doctor say cancer? From the darkness comes something beautiful, a wish come true. What's it like to help? Just call us at Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Larry Hanskin, Chad Duff back here at Welcome Stadium, along with us in the booth, our engineer-producer Rich Wright, who thinks he's going to get paid overtime to work in overtime, but that's not true. Joe Pott, our statistician, who thinks he's going to get paid. Explain overtime to you. It's like this in college football now. Each team takes turns with the possession from the 25-yard line. You have a chance to get a first down or score. Then the opponent gets an equal chance at it. Obviously, the most important phase of overtime is the coin toss, because if you win the coin toss, you have the option. And most coaches, when given that option, want to go on defense first. Why? Because that tells you what you need to do. In other words, if you're on defense first, you hold your opponent to a field goal. Well, you know that if you get in the end zone, you can win it. If you're on offense first, you're facing a 4th and short. Do you go for it or kick the field goal? Well, you can kick the field goal and then get beat on the ensuing possession by your opponent if they can get in the end zone. It's I tell you what, it's high drama. It's maybe not the best way to determine the outcome of a football game, but it sure beats going home right now saying the game ended 24-24.
Yeah, you know, you want to have a winner. As a player out there, you know, you want a chance to win the football game. And it might not be, there are pros and cons to this type system, but the thing is, it is not sudden death, and that's what you got to stress. You know that your offense is going to get a chance. You know your defense is going to get a chance. And you know, really, when it comes right down to it, that's all you can ask for.
Well, in all three phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, because your kicker could win or lose this game for you. And
you remember last year, we had an overtime game last year.
And a missed extra point, that was the difference in the game. A missed extra point and was the difference between victory and defeat. So it really is, it's good in that it tests all phases of your football game. It's not just a single faceted solution to the outcome of the game. If you want to talk about, well, who is favored in this situation? Well, Dayton obviously has got some momentum going for them, having just put in a couple of touchdowns with under 6 minutes during the last 6 minutes of this game. Also, the Flyers are playing at home. And also, I think Dayton's offense lends itself well to the 25-yard short field. I think McKendree, a grinded-out type of thing, they can grind it out for 25 yards, but I think that Dayton only having to defend that much territory can really do some things defensively against them. So, obviously, I want Dayton to win, but I also think Dayton can win.
You know, and the thing is, too, is that we talked about the speed of the Dayton linebackers. They can run things down, and this is a short field where they're going to be able to use their speed in the box, catch a guy from the backside of a play, because McKendree is using such a compacted offense. Inside the tackles, basically, is what they're doing. That gives the linebackers a chance to run in there, make some plays, and the offense is suited to this. They run what was the old Washington Redskins counter tray, you know, pulling a guard and a tackle. That's a good play for the Flyers. It's a good situation.
Well, we'll see the all-important coin toss. McKendree won the toss. And who's going to get the foot? Who's going to go on offense first? There's no indication. I guess McKendree won the toss. I'm assuming they want to go on defense, but the officials did not indicate that. All they indicate was an end of the field, that they're going to play going into the south end of the field, which kind of surprises me, because that means both the teams will be operating into the wind.
There goes UD's offense. And you know what? You're not discouraged as a Flyers, though. You just scored a touchdown. You just had the momentum. Make their defense. You know, this is not a bad situation for the Flyers, because McKendree's D, who just had a big drive on them, now has to go back and play some more defense. So not a bad spot for the Flyers to be in.
It looks like Dayton's going to come out with that same look offensively, in that tailback Jimmy Lee sprints off the field. The extra wide receiver comes in, so Dayton keeps it wide open here. David George single back behind Jason Arling. He's got 3 men wide. 1st and 10. Fires it out in the flat. It is caught. Yes, it is caught by Randy Hemmelgarn. Pickup down to the 22-yard line. That's a pickup of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Larry, now, God forbid, if there is a turnover, yes, the other team can take it the other way. They can take it the other way. So, you know, turnovers are just as critical here. It's not just loss of possession, but it could be loss of points.
Larry, another key in overtime. There is no clock to deal with. The clock is turned off. We're just playing 1st and 10, heading towards the end zone.
Jimmy Lee in the slot. David George behind Arling. George gets the handoff, galloping inside the 10. 5! Touchdown! He would not be denied. He would not be denied.
That's just gutsy.
Very, very important extra point coming up here now. Mike Colford needs to knock this one through. We'll watch our Time Warner Sports Replay.
Boy, look at his eyes. He is just focused in. He knows where that goal line is at. He puts his head down. Look at the offensive lineman getting downfield to block for him. And right here, the last 5 yards, does that by himself. BYOB, be your own blocker in the end zone. Flyers trying to tack on the extra point.
Big one right here. McCall will snap. Josetti will hold. Pulsford will kick. It gets quiet. Good snap, good hold, and good kick. So on the first possession of overtime, the Dayton Flyers score. Our score after one possession in OT, Dayton 31, McKendree 24. This is Dayton Flyer football.
Both men had to come back and adjust to the football.
Pass interference on Dayton. Well, this is not the NFL. It's not first and goal at the 1. And we'll take advantage of what we have at our disposal here, and that being the Time Warner Sports Replay. Gray nearly sacked, rolls out, spots his man open, and yep, feet got tangled up. Probably not too bad a call. Dayton in overtime. Lost in 1978 in the Division III playoffs to Carnegie Mellon. Lost in 1988 to Wittenberg in the playoffs. Won at Allegheny in 1991. Then lost last year to Moorhead, 35-34. And the ball spotted at the 10-yard line. Now 1st and 10 McKendree there after the penalty. 1st and goal, call it. Absolutely. Gray pitches back to Murphy, sweeping outside. He's heading for the goal line, but stops short. Sam Barb got down on him to drop him at the 2. It'll be 2nd and goal there.
Strong blocking up front by Milliken right there. Or Milliken, I'm trying to make them a team of the pass by McKendree. Good execution at the point of attack and a nice run.
Ball is spotted actually at the 1.
There could be a decision coming up here too, Larry. If they do get in the end zone, do they go for 1 and a tie, or 2 and a win?
Now let's not get ahead of ourselves. 2nd and goal at the 1. Dayton with some defense to play here. Handoff inside. Carnes stuffed, but got in on the 2nd effort. And now the kicking unit comes on the field. Alan McKendree says, we'll just do this all over again. And how ironic would it be for Dayton, having lost a game last year on a missed extra point? Would it not be sweet? Although you hate to benefit from someone else's misfortune. Now they're going, wait a second. What? I thought.
Boy, watch for some sneakiness here. They're running a lot of people in and out and chatting. Oh, you got to be aware.
We'll keep it right here, no matter what the outcome of this, unless we're giving you a final score. High snap, kick is up, and it is good. So we keep it right here again. We've got football still to play. After one full overtime possession, the score is tied still at 31, and back we go to the 25-yard line, and the Dayton Flyers will get another crack at it.
I'll tell you what, this is college football at its best. You know, we had round 1 of overtime. Now it's round 2. It's kind of like a big prize fight right now. Who's going to throw the knockout punch? And we do. And once again, I think we flip the coin again, don't we, Larry? I think in each overtime period, we just we flip her again, and it's.
I mean, it's start all over again. Adams go back to the center of the field.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. High drama is the definite format for college overtime.
Tell you what, it's a hot night. There's got to be some tired campers out there on both sides of this field. Only 2 of Dayton's captains go out, Brad Tobey and Ryan Stangl. Tell you what, you might as well conserve your energy. Don't walk out in the middle of the field if you don't have to, as long as you got someone there.
You know, you wonder how much emotionally, how big of an emotional lift it was to see Jimmy Lee come back on the field for the offense. Just strictly, you know, David George has been the workhorse, but just to have, you know, sometimes when you know you've got a star in a Jimmy Lee, just to have him on the field with you you know, I liken that to Kevin Johns back in my playing days. You knew when Kevin was on the field, you were never that far out of the ball.
Okay, now McKendree is going to get the first crack at it as Dayton won the toss this time. And again, they'll keep moving towards the south end of the field. So the Dayton defense, well, I tell you what, you know, it was a good call, the pass interference, that just Schuster's legs getting tangled up with the receiver Gross. But boy, the breaks Dayton has gotten very, very few breaks in this contest. There have been no turnovers whatsoever by McKendree. They have played darn near perfect football. Again, they start at the 25. Second possession of overtime and a 31-31 tie. Give to Murphy, caught in the backfield, drop for a loss. Matt Sermon, the poster boy for Dayton football, gets in there and makes the play.
He is. But I tell you what, Larry, he is just geared high. He's a great guy to be around. He loves being in there, loves sticking his nose in. We look at the replay right now, and you can see he just makes a play. What 4-1 speed Matt Sermon has? I don't see it.
Second down and 11. McKendree not moving forward, but backwards on that play. They fake the counter. Gray to throw. Pockets breaking down. He's running. Looking for daylight and tripped up from behind. Finally bulldog down by Mike Crimmins. He's close to the first down at the 16-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
I tell you what, Gray has played really a fantastic game. Anytime that the pocket has broken down, he has gotten outside, used his side. We're taking a look at the replay right now here in the booth, and there it is, the pocket collapse, and he uses that big 6'4" frame to get to the outside, just muscle past some UD players. He really runs the ball well. It's like having another tailback in the game there, and he has been effective all game long.
He is quicker than he looks. And he brings his team up to the line of scrimmage, looking at 3rd down and 1. At the 16. Handoff inside Carnes, and he got it. So a first down, a fresh set of 4 for McKendree to work with. They keep possession. Dayton had possession first in overtime. Scored on a 22-yard run by David George. McKendree able to respond, though, on a 1-yard run by Carnes. Carnes there with a 1-yard pickup to give McKendree a first down, as this is the second overtime possession. Dayton obviously would like to keep McKendree totally off the board, but at any rate keep them out of the end zone. Allow their offense a chance to win the game outright. Handoff goes to Murphy. He sprints over top of the pile and dives to about the 12. Spotted the ball at the 11, makes it a 4-yard pickup. And 2nd down and 6.
McKendree's just going with what they know right here. We're taking a look at the replay in the booth, and it's just their basic offense right up the gut. A nice athletic move to get over the top of the pile there to get a gain of about 4 yards, and 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust. That's how they do it.
They could feel confident enough to just run dive football. Give it to Carnes, stacked up. Thrown back, Dayton clawing. It's a football, but it won't come out.
Dayton is doing a nice job of swarming to the football once somebody gets a helmet on the ball carrier initially, but unfortunately, it's 2 yards down the field, and that doesn't sound like much, but with the push of 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and you'll get first downs when you get 4 of them.
That will be 3rd down and 4. The ball is at the 9-yard line. Big play right here. Big play right here. You can keep. Third and 4. Handoff goes inside, spinning close to it is Carnes. Ball came loose, but he was already down. He did not get it. He is close to it. Is he close enough to it for them to decide this is 4-down territory? This is interesting right here.
It's decision time, Larry, no doubt about it. We're getting a chance once again to check the replay out here in this exciting overtime football. Almost misses the exchange here. Does a nice job to keep the football, and it looks like they are going to go for it. 4th down, they are going to try and make it happen. This could be the football game.
I tell you what, I give Carl Pelker and the McKendree staff a lot of credit for just laying it out here, saying, here we go, stop us. 4th and 1. Carnes has it. First down. 1st and goal inside the 5.
Good push. Good push by their offensive line. You got to give them credit. That has been a play that's worked for them all day long. You know, it is not pretty, but it's effective.
First and goal at the 4. Now's a defense you can't let down. You just can't let down that just because they got that first down that you're going to give them the final 4 yards cheap. You want to make them earn it.
You know, we saw almost a mishandle on an exchange there. You know, everyone's tired down there. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
McKendree has yet to turn the ball over. They stuff it into Carnes. He spins down. No gain. Chuck Colstall makes a play.
That's what it's going to take.
Second and goal. He may have got half a yard. Again, the only clock that is of any consequence is the play clock. Double zeros up on the scoreboard indicating we are in overtime. All tied at 31. Regulation ended at 24 all. McKendree with a second and goal at the Dayton 3. Gray keeps himself, dives, and comes up short. He came up short, down at the 1. It will be 3rd and a yard, if that. But he is not yet in. They will spot the ball at the 1. Keith Bruce comes in as an extra defensive lineman, and safety Brad Schuster trots out. 3rd and goal at the 1, and you got to think that they're going to take 2 cracks at it from here.
I think you're right, Larry. They're going to go right up the gut, and there's not going to be anything fancy. No big tricks right here. Just go with what they know.
But you got to hand the ball off clean. They've yet to make a mistake. They hand it to Carnes, and he's in. Touchdown.
Well, let's see if they can tack on the extra point. Every play in overtime, you know, every play in the course of the game is important, but especially in overtime, every play counts. Looking at the replay right now, kind of a stalemate up front, but they only needed just about a half a yard, and they were able to get that and punch it in.
Okay. Schneider will try the extra point. Grebner will hold. Concede nothing. Concede nothing. Kick is up. It is good. And we keep it right here. It's now Dayton's turn. The Flyers will have to score 7. 38-31 now. McKendree leads, but Dayton with its second overtime possession now, and the Flyers will begin on the 25, and they know what they have to do, Chad. They got to get in the end zone, and they got to stick on another extra point and get ready to play some more football.
Exactly, and you've got to stick with what you've been doing in the 4th quarter and in the first overtime that got you into the end zone. Don't do anything different.
And we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I know at some point in time teams are no longer allowed to kick, that they have to then go for 2. I think it's after 3 possessions, I believe. I don't have my rule book handy. Dayton's got to get in the end zone though right now. 1st and 10 at the 25. Arling to throw. Pass is incomplete, intended for Jimmy Lee. It'll be 2nd down and 10. The monkey is on the offensive back now for the Dayton Flyers. But this is a hot defensive unit. And the hot hand on this defensive unit right now is fullback David George. He has caught 2 touchdown passes in this game, and he scored a touchdown on a 22-yard would not be denied gallop up the middle in the first possession of overtime. He is the single setback behind Jason Arling. 3 men wide. 2nd down and 10 at the 25. Arling back to throw. Steps up in the pocket. Looks into the end zone. Fires. Tipped and caught. No, incomplete. The ball is laying in the end zone as Randy Hamelgarn almost came up with a miracle, as McKendree almost came up with the interception.
Yeah, that ball, I just felt like that ball was hanging in the air there for 10 days, it seems like, as you can see right here. He drops back, throws down into the end zone, good protection. Maybe it was even tipped there at the line of scrimmage as it kind of ducktails, and almost an interception, and it looks like, oh, almost a Flyer miracle, and then falls to the ground.
I tell you what, it looked like Hamelgarn and Josh Clark collided. Had they not, I think Hamelgarn may have been able to come up with that grab. 3rd down and 10. Dayton needs at least 10 to keep the ball for another try. And Arling is back to throw. He looks again over the middle. He throws again for the end zone. Clark cannot make the play. It is broken up by Bruce, and no flag down. So Dayton's down to 1 snap. 1 snap, that ball underthrown just a little bit. Josh Clark, we've seen him adjust his routes, but that time Bruce just stepped in front and made a play. McKendree's going to call a timeout as Dayton's got one chance. It is 4th and 10. They got to get 10 yards to at least keep the ball. If they don't get 10 yards, the game is over.
Yeah, you got to be aware of where the sticks are. Your receivers have got to at least get down the field 10 yards. You can't run an 8-yard hook pass or a 5-yard out. That just does not get it done here. You've got to at least get down 10 yards to try and possibly get another set of downs or maybe get into the end zone.
Again, McKendree leads 38-31 in overtime. Regulation ended tied at 24. In overtime, Dayton got the ball first, scored on a 22-yard touchdown run by David George and a point after by Mike Pulsford. McKendree responded with a 1-yard touchdown run by Jared Carnes and a point after. McKendree had first possession of the second OT, scored on a 1-yard Carnes run, extra point, and now Dayton has yet to move the ball from the 25-yard line. 3 incomplete passes, and now it is 4th down and 10. And the Flyers with one play to stay alive in this football game. George and Lee in the eye behind Arling. Arling to throw, fires sideline out of bounds, incomplete. And McKendree wins the football game. The final score in double overtime, it is McKendree 38, Dayton 31. To our viewers on Time Warner Sports, we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again on Dayton's next home game. For those of you listening on News Talk 1290 WHIO and on ActiveDayton.com, stay tuned. The post-game show